All right, hello everybody. You are listening to the Minding Mind podcast, where we live life with ease, connection, and permission to just be. I'm your host, Evelyn LeVasseur, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I am sitting down and chatting with Courtney Gray, and we're going to talk all about how you can become a woman who feels in control of not only just her eating, but her health overall. And all of you who have followed along my journey know that I spent a whole lot of my life dieting on and off, trying to chase a smaller version of me to really just end up loving and accepting the whole me. So this conversation is personal. Before we get started, let me just tell you, Courtney Gray is a body and life coach for women who want to lose weight permanently. You hear that, guys? Permanently. Feel in control of their eating, their movement, and their daily habits. Her unique approach blends emotional awareness, neuroplasticity, habit formation, and mindset work to create deep and lasting transformation. Courtney's clients don't just lose weight, they get emotionally and physically healthy. They reshape how they see themselves and how they live. She believes that when women feel good in their bodies, it radiates into every part of their lives. That's why her clients not only lose weight, but also gain confidence, empowerment, and peace that carries into their relationships, their careers, and beyond. Courtney, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Evelyn, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So am I. We were already chatting for a few minutes just before we got started. Can you maybe start us off by telling us what even led you into this work? How did you get here? And what makes your approach feel permanent?
Yeah, thank you. Well, our stories are similar. I mean, like so many people probably that are listening, so many of your listeners, I call it a little obsessed with losing weight and going on this diet and that diet and Whole30 and keto and this, and I'm going to not eat sugar for a month. And then if I could just do this for 2 weeks, and I was obsessed. And it got to a point in my life where I felt like I was actually thinking about my body and what I was eating more than I was my 3 kids. And I'm a good mom, so I was like, I think about them a lot. I put them first, but I'm like, I am thinking about my next meal and what I'm going to eat. And I don't know about you, but I would have this thing where I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be like, all right, we're locking in. We're locking in. And then I would do well at breakfast and I would do well at lunch. And when I say do well, I would be perfect. No flour, no sugar, no anything. And then all of a sudden, right around 4 o'clock, it would all of a sudden I would change my mind. I thought I was changing my mind. I didn't realize at the time that there was a different part of my brain, but at the time I thought, you know what, you've been eating good all day, you deserve a treat. It's been a hard day, this isn't the day to do this. It doesn't matter, you're so healthy anyways. Your husband looks great. Why? Your husband thinks you look great. What does it even matter? And I would really start all the excuses and rationalizing why I actually don't want to lose weight. And then I would eat, and I wouldn't overeat I wouldn't stuff myself to huge amounts, but I would eat in a way that I definitely wasn't gonna lose weight. I was not in a calorie deficit. I was eating too much sugar. My body was inflamed. But once I started, then I really was like, well, at this point, I'm all in, so I'm gonna start tomorrow. And then I would go to bed that night and I would be like, what is your problem? And then I would just have huge regret. And I call this an overeating cycle. And I was in it, and it was an everyday thing for me. And so to the second, part of your question is, how do I help women do this permanently? Is along my journey, I became a coach. I got certified as a life coach and I got certified as a weight loss coach. But what I realized even within that certification is that you can't do a diet forever. So, in order to actually get to a place where you feel in control of your eating, because that's what I believe we really want. We want to feel like we're in control. We make a decision and we stick to it. In order to get there, you really have to understand a few things. You have to understand why you're eating in the first place. And that could be, yes, it could be just habit. It could be that you're emotionally eating. It could be, I mean, there's so many different reasons. And it also just could be, for a lot of people, a lack of awareness of their brain and how our brains are designed to seek pleasure. Our brains are not really designed for 2025 with the amount of food that we have here and all the, the things that are distracting us and the amount of pleasure at our fingertips. So I learned that in order to become a woman who is in control of her eating, I needed to understand why I was eating in the first place, what emotions I was trying to avoid, and understand my brain and like what was the true me and what was the just brain, urges to make myself feel better.
Oh, yeah. I think too, there's something big about that wanting to feel in control. And I think, speaking for myself, that I did in the past just want to feel in control of my food because control kind of made me feel a little bit calm in a sense. But really, my need for control was rooted in my lack of trust in myself. So when
Mm,
you talk about that whole at night when you're like, here, why did you do this again? What,
yes.
you were speaking for all of us because we've all been there with the
Yeah.
only going to eat, eggs and berries for breakfast. And then for lunch, I'm going to have like some chicken and some lettuce. And, and then by
Yeah.
3 p.m., you're like, I just need something that makes me feel good, right? But so much of that was I didn't trust myself to just do what felt good in my body
Mhm.
and feel good at the same time. I thought it had to be either or. Either I ate perfectly or I went all out and then
Me too. You said that so well. Yeah, me too.
no middle ground.
Yeah.
So
And then I think the problem we have now is we have social media, which we didn't have 20 years ago like we do today. I know we had Facebook, but it wasn't the same. And so now do you feel that there's a lot of, you're like, I should do this. I should do intermittent fasting. I should do this. I should be doing this. Oh, now I need to be jumping. Now I shouldn't be running. And it's this constant, you don't know what's best for you. You need to listen to what other people say you should do.
100%. I
Mhm.
feel like that's something though that we all learned when we were little. I think about the very basic things like sit down at the dinner table and eat your food. Whether you're hungry or not, it's dinner time and it's time to eat. Or you have to finish your dinner in order to have dessert, right? Those are the earliest clues that we got that we couldn't trust what our body was telling us. We had to trust the person outside of us. So for me, I learned it's dinner time, you sit down and eat. Whatever's on your plate, you eat the whole thing. You have to earn dessert. So I feel like
Yeah.
disconnect started so early
Yeah.
that diets for me actually felt good because it was like, oh, finally somebody will just tell
There's
me.
some rules. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then you know what else I see as a problem now is like, and I don't want to, I never want to bash any type of way of doing anything because I think there's different things that work for all people. But I hear a lot of people, they're like, I want to do intuitive eating. And I understand the draw. Like if you think of it, it's very lovely. I'm going to do what feels right for my body. It sounds amazing. The problem is that for so many people, they don't understand their brain and they don't understand the difference. Like this is me when I told you my story. In the morning, I felt very connected to my truth, right? Myself. But then right around 4 o'clock, I thought I was just changing my mind. Now, once I became certified as a coach, once I've helped hundreds of women, it's like I realized, no, 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 I wasn't changing my mind. There was that connection there, but my brain took over, whether it was decision fatigue, whether it was frustration with my husband or my kids or my business or whatever, all of a sudden, and also just being tired at the end of the day, all of these things led to me starting to listen to a different part of my brain. And so when people say, I just want to listen to my body, if you want to listen to your body, I love that. You have to learn how to listen to your brain first, the right part of your brain first.
Mhm. How difficult is it for you to teach women how to integrate both the body and the brain?
Yeah. No, it's not difficult. I have a beautiful process where I do it. I work with women depending on how much weight they want to lose, depending on the different things they want to work on. I work with women either 3 months or 6 months, or kind of, I mean, I think at the very least 3 months, because it takes time to do this work. It takes time to change your brain. The way we are thinking and feeling and our behaviors in our life, what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, they're all neural pathways in our brain, and a lot of them are very hardwired. For me, all of a sudden giving up at 4 o'clock and eating whatever I wanted was hardwired into my brain. So it takes time to unravel that. And even when you start becoming aware of why you're eating, you're like, oh, my next level is becoming aware, but then doing, like, I have a 3-step process where women learn how to feel in control in the moment. Even when they want that extra taco, they told themselves they were going to have two, and they really want that third. And in the past, they've always had that third. They can sit there and want that third, but work the process in the moment of like, how do I actually want something and not eat it? And that's an
Mm,
interesting thing for so many women. They feel like if they want something, it's like they have no control.
yeah. Yeah. I think for I that's something that I worked on for myself as well. And it was just that allowing myself to feel the disappointment, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want the thing,
Mhm.
but I know it's going to make me feel overly full. I know it's going to make me feel uncomfortable. So it's like that pause, that
Yes.
feel the disappointment, which honestly lasts 30 seconds to a minute. And then
Mhm.
it's like, okay,
Yeah.
right? I'm fine. I actually enjoyed what I ate already. And if I ate more, I would have felt
Mhm.
uncomfortable after. Yeah, I love that being
And
able to.
that's a process that you got to that point. And so for my clients, I work with them through the process of going, okay, I have the tools, but and they take 30 seconds, but then they shove the food in their mouth very quickly. And then we go into, okay, but what happened in that moment? And I love that you talked about the disappointment. This is a concept I teach my clients is like there's going to be discomfort, disappointment, whatever flavor of uncomfortableness, either way. You can either sit there in the moment and want that extra thing or that thing you said you weren't going to have, and that is frustrating. And sometimes even anger comes up, and they're resentful to, sometimes my clients are like, I'm resentful to you and to this and the fact that I want things. So there's that discomfort, but there's also, in my opinion, the more horrible discomfort of living in a body that doesn't feel like you, that you are frustrated with yourself, you're not fitting into your clothes, you're not as healthy as you want to be. So that to me is more uncomfortable than sitting there in the moment and saying, I'm not eating those Oreos in the pantry and actually following through with that.
Yeah. Something just came up for me when you were saying that feeling of like even like anger can come out.
Yeah.
And I like to kind of look at the big picture when I would allow myself to feel that disappointment, that irritation, and yes, sometimes anger. I recognize that a lot of it also had to do with the fact that I was restricting myself and not taking care of myself in other parts of my life too. So it was when I got irritated, it was like that feeling that I could relate to of, damn it, there are things that I want and I won't let myself have them. There are
Mhm.
things that I need and I'm ignoring because I am being mom first. I am being wife first. I am being coach first. I'm pouring out and pouring out. And the things that I need and desire just to feel fulfilled as a human were always on the back burner. So
Yeah.
again, that control with the food came in where it was like, well, if I could eat this thing, then at least I'm having something that I want. And then
Yeah.
that irritation was, I can't have this either,
Yes.
you know?
So common.
Yeah, so it had to be a lot of asking better questions, like where else in my life am I restricting? Where else in my life am I not even paying attention to my needs? It had to open up a whole lot more for me.
That's beautiful. That's so eye-opening to hear you say that. And it's interesting because I think, especially when someone starts a journey, I'm sure when your clients start with you and they start with me, it sounds very empowering to start putting yourself first. It sounds like energizing and empowering. But then when they start doing it and they realize in putting themselves first, they do have to learn to eat better. They
Mhm.
have to learn to have less scoops of peanut butter. They need to learn to have maybe less coffee or less alcohol. And so then all of a sudden they go from like, this feels empowering and amazing to almost, this isn't fair.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why I think diets don't work. I think that like, it sounds like you and I have similar methodologies in terms of like with my clients, if they love dessert, have dessert every night, but have a small portion. And let's be radically honest about what's really going in your mouth.
Mhm. hmm And I think there's another portion to that where I say the same thing. If you enjoy chocolate in the afternoon, then have chocolate in the afternoon. But it's not so much about like the portion control is important, but also like the experience of it. If
Mm.
you're eating the chocolate or the dessert at night, and every time you put a bite in your mouth, you feel shame and guilt, there's
Yes.
no pleasure in that. You're not
Yes.
enjoying anything, right? So if you can start to be more present, focus on the flavors, put a little energy into finding the textures as they roll around in your mouth, right? That makes it more of an experience and allows space for pleasure as opposed to just shame and guilt, which will send you on a spiral.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because so often women will hire me and they'll actually say, I want to lose 15 pounds or I want to lose 20 pounds. And then they start losing weight without dieting. And if they finally hit that 10, 15, whatever their goal is, when they hit that, they're like, I actually want to lose more weight. I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, I did not believe this was possible. I
Mhm.
really did. And even as we would go through and they'd be losing weight, they'd be like, I don't know. I don't know because we are so trained that the only way to really do this is by dieting. And I think you're right. I think they're sitting there having their treat going, I know Courtney says I can have this treat, but I don't really believe this is going to work. And I have found usually in the beginning, I say it usually I have found takes almost 3 months for them to finally settle in like, oh wow, this is different. So even though they're losing the weight, they're like, we'll see. It's kind of like this whole, we'll
Because they've
see.
seen it go down before. They've just never seen it stay that way.
Exactly. And I think you're right. Back to what you said about when you're eating the chocolate, not shaming yourself for eating it. Dessert is so much more delicious when you're eating it without a side dose of shame.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's, the recognition that it's us who's assigning moral value to food, right? Like food, what you put in your mouth doesn't make you good or bad,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Or worthy or unworthy. It's
Mhm.
just it is literally the training that you spent your whole life learning to just judge yourself and criticize yourself and assign good and bad value to specific foods.
Mhm.
And the fact is that we like certain foods because they're delicious.
Mhm. And good and bad value to your body and to the scale. Like I coach a lot on the scale, and I will have some women where they'll hit a plateau, which is very normal, especially in sustainable weight loss. Your body's like, what's happening here? What's happening here? And so you'll hit 2 weeks where your weight doesn't go down. And it's interesting when I talk to clients and they'll sometimes be crying like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind because I'm doing the work, Courtney. I promise you, I'm doing the work. And and I'll say, is anything else happening with your body? Like, is anything almost every time they're like, actually, I just had to go out and buy new bras. Actually, I'm fitting in pants I haven't worn in 20 years. Actually, I had to buy new underwear or this, or people are telling me, or my husband commented. And I'm like, but isn't it so interesting? And they're feeling better, they're sleeping better, all those things. And I said, but isn't it so interesting that a man-made scale that has a three-digit number on it hasn't moved and you are literally crying. And I'm like, and I'm saying this with all the love, I get it. But we need to look up from the trees and see the forest. And I said, if you never stepped on a scale again and you kept eating this way, it sounds like things are going really well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
scales are
love
great. I mean, we do need the data for sure. And then they start losing weight again, their body releases again. So it's just it can be hard sometimes in the moment, but overall it can be a very beautiful process.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about your process. I mean, I know that you've talked about you mentioned slightly that calorie deficit. You also talked about like how you're sleeping and how you're feeling and how your clothes are fitting. What does a process of losing the weight, but also like connecting with yourself, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, well, that's the biggest part. So for me, the process really, like one of the main things I do with my clients right away is I have them start deciding what they want to eat on purpose from their prefrontal cortex. So usually it's in the morning or the night before. They decide from a place of connection. And it's whether I call it connection to myself, but whether they want to call it connection to God, connection to source. We all know what that is connection from what you truly desire. And not from a place of I'm better skinny, but from a place of you know what, I would like to be healthier. I would like to feel in control of around my food with my eating, and I would like to enjoy my life without obsessing about food. And I'd also like to be a smaller size to fit into some of my clothes in my closet that I know I'm capable of. So when we decide from that connection in the morning what we're going to eat throughout the rest of the day, and not from a diety place, not from perfection, but from a place of like, let's love ourselves. Like if we were thinking of like if our daughter or son came to us and said, I want to lose weight, like we wouldn't be like, don't eat any sugar. You know what I mean? So when you do it from love, and then I have them go throughout their day and I really have them start to understand their brain. All of a sudden understand that they'll get through lunch and then all of a sudden they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm a little hungry. And for a lot of people, hunger is like a fear trigger. Like a lot of people are eating so much in our society right now. Anytime we have a little bit of hunger, we're like, we need to eat. I'm listening to my body. We need to eat. And so we start eating when really maybe you're not that hungry. Maybe you don't need as much food as what you've been giving yourself. And so then they start recognizing, oh, my brain is telling me that I really need to eat. And how can I sit there for a few minutes and see if the hunger pain goes away for a little bit? Because I'm going to eat at dinner in an hour. Maybe I'll be all right. Or, oh, okay, I just had dinner. I'm really ready to shut down the kitchen, which so many women want to be able to do that. So many women want to be able to watch, Bridgerton or Outlander. Those are two of my favorite shows. Bridgerton or Outlander, sitting on the couch and have nothing to eat and actually enjoy themselves, or actually just have a small bowl of ice cream or a small popcorn and actually enjoy themselves. But then in my process, I teach them that your brain is going to start going, you know what, you deserve to have this, or everyone around you is going to think that you don't want your kids to think you're dieting. So you need to have this, or you know what, this isn't going to be as fun if you're the only one not having dessert or having a second piece of this or that. That right there is the moment where the work begins,
Mhm.
because now they need to understand their brain and really dive into that connected part of themselves that really wants the health and the weight loss and the control.
How do you help them separate the physical responses
Mhm.
that their bodies are having and the self-talk that's happening at the same time?
Yes, such a great question. Well, so I do a few things. We do group coaching. They also have this small, very short journaling practice. I always say very short because some people are like, I hate journaling. I find the reason most people say they hate journaling is because they go to journal and they think they don't know what to write. So my journaling process is very much, I'll tell you exactly what to write, just answer these questions. And they have their protocol already in place. So they already are sitting there like, I know what the connected me really wants.
Mm.
And so then between the journaling and the coaching, and then of course I have a portal with videos that teaches them this, then I have a process that they can actually walk out of the room. And it sounds a little corny, Evelyn, but I have them like put their hand on their chest and like do this process of going, okay, my primitive brain, and we even in my program we name our primitive brain. My primitive brain is telling me this, that is not the real me. That is
Mm.
not my future focused connected self. And it is a practice. And a lot of times they're going to mess it up. And then they're going to go, why did I mess it up? And then they're going to go, you know why? Because I was at dinner with my girlfriend Angela, and she also wants to lose weight. And right when we walked into the restaurant, she told me, wow, you look really good. And you told her, oh, I'm doing this program or I'm listening to this podcast. And I thought all of a sudden when they ordered dessert and they brought out 5 spoons, Angela was looking at me and I thought, if I don't eat this, she's going to feel bad about herself. So
Mm.
then we realized, oh, okay, so you're a people pleaser. I mean, so many of us are people pleasers. And so
Mhm.
then we coach on that. So it's a figuring out, understanding why you're having a hard time sticking to your connected self.
Yeah. I love that so much, that whole just pausing and like, why am I even feeling this? Like, what am I
Yeah.
judging myself about? What is this really?
Yeah.
Because it's rarely about the food.
Mhm. Even
Uh,
though the food is delicious.
right.
The food is delicious. But the reality is, if you want your health and your weight loss and all that, that's way more delicious than the food.
Yeah.
But there's so much more going on. It could be people pleasing. It could be for a lot of people, not even just women, they feel like if they go to dinner or if they watch TV on the couch or they go to the ladies' night or whatever it is, and they don't eat whatever they want to eat in the moment, they're like, how am I going to have fun? This isn't living life. And but what I would say to that is what's not living life is living in a body where you feel out of control and you don't feel healthy and you know you're capable of more.
Yeah.
When you do this work, you can get to a place where you go out to dinner and you can sit there and let me give you an even better example. Last night, I had a dinner party with 20 people at my house. I made cookies for dessert. I didn't have any. Now, sometimes I do have dessert. So again, I'm not into total restriction, but I didn't have any cookies. I had bread. I served bread to everyone, and I had my tri-tip without the bread. I had a little bit of the beans, and I had salad. I didn't have the appetizers. I wasn't really hungry for it. And I know that it's not aligning with my health goals. And I was able to do that. And I had a fantastic night. Now,
Mhm.
it took time to get there, but it was so worth the journey of figuring out because there were so many dinner parties where I would be like, there's no way I'm not eating my homemade mac and cheese. Life isn't worth living if I don't get to eat this. And then
Mhm.
afterwards, I'd be like, that's not true. That's ridiculous. And so I started understanding. Even last night, my primitive brain was like, Courtney, you made all this food. You deserve to have it. And I'm like, that's my primitive brain.
Mhm.
And it's okay. And I had the most amazing night. I didn't feel deprived. It was wonderful.
Mhm. I love that because I can definitely say that for myself, the same thing. Like in the past, I would feel like I made all this food, people are here, like it's only for tonight, right? Might as well just
Yes.
go all out. Where, you get to that point where you recognize what I really want is the connection. And what I really want is like that feeling of being surrounded by people that love me. And the food is
Yeah.
just there, right? The food
Yes.
doesn't have to make the experience.
Yeah.
Um, and I do love now, I mean, now I love to entertain, but it's the same thing. Maybe I'll sample something that I made but usually I know my body feels best when
Mhm.
I have protein and veggies. Like
Yes.
I feel lighter. I do have like a gluten intolerance and
Mhm.
some food allergies. So I'm just careful. I want to feel good, not about thinness. I just want to feel comfortable. But something that you mentioned also, I had a client who had a bi-weekly girls' night. Her favorite thing to do. Girls that she'd been friends with from college, they've had this practice for upwards of 15 years. So she said she got to the point where she didn't want to go anymore because she was just constantly having pizza and cocktails. And we literally just were chatting. And I said, what would your friends say if you said, let's go for a hike or let's walk around the park?
Yeah.
Or even if you really wanted to, let's get ice cream and then walk around the park.
Mhm.
And she was like, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And they changed things a little bit where one week they started all having different suggestions. We'll go to the park and they all had puppies and they'd go to the dog park. And, so it was still like the connection that they wanted, but it all wasn't focused on food and alcohol.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like making that connection around what do I even want?
Yeah.
What do I want from this experience? And nine
What
times
is
out,
what is the experience really about? It's about connecting. I always say at the end of our lives, we're not going to look back and say all those girl nights, the pizza was so good.
right.
That's not what you're going to be thinking. You're going to be thinking about the connection. But I think that we've lost this. And even the vacation, it's like, well, I'm going to go on vacation. So, I mean, I can't eat well on vacation. Like, what? Like to me, going on vacation and feeling amazing in my body, it's not perfect. I've got some cellulite, I've got some stretch marks, but being able to be in a bikini and be like, here I am. I feel amazing in my body. And I'm going to decide in the morning, even on vacation, this is what I'm going to eat and I'm going to stand by it. That's what life's all about, and the people and connection.
It's like freedom. That's just such freedom. I
It
love
is
that so
freedom.
much. If someone were looking to work with you, could you tell them a little bit about what does that look like? Do you, start off by saying record 4 days of what you've eaten? Like, what does it look like to come into your world?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, so I always have people start with a consultation. So if any of your listeners want to, it's a free consultation for an hour, and it really is just helping them see what's possible for them, helping them see if we're a good fit, just like you and I did with this podcast. Let's meet and see, do we energetically jive? Always a great idea. But really, we just start right away with me teaching them about what are their specific like hardships when it comes to eating because we're all a little bit different. I think that most people do pretty well during breakfast, pretty well during lunch, and evenings are hard for a lot of people. But for some people, snacking is a big problem. For some people, portions is a big problem. For some people, anytime they go out to eat and they go out to eat a lot is a big problem. So really identifying what is specifically their problems. Are they a people pleaser? There's different types of emotional eating. There's people who they want to avoid negative emotion, and that's where they go to a party. They're like happy, there's no negative going on, but they go to a party and again they're like, I can't have fun if I don't eat all the things. I feel like I'm not connected to people if I'm not eating. I'm embarrassed. I don't want people to ask me all that. So what they're doing by eating is avoiding any drama by them not eating, avoiding any negative emotion that will come from them sticking to their plan. But then there's also people that they escape emotion, and that's why they're eating. They're already stressed, they're overwhelmed, maybe they're in a relationship that's frustrating and they're eating to get out of negative emotion. So there's different types. And so the first step is really diagnosing what they need. This is very curated. This isn't a program where I say, here you go, read the materials, look at the videos. This is like, let's figure you out. And then the whole thing is structured around them, whether it's group or one-on-one. It really is structured around what they need. You know, for some people, they grew up where they didn't have access to food. So there is a little bit of trauma there. And for some people, if whether and trauma is a big thing too, is there any trauma? That really, there's a lot of women that even if they get to their goal weight, if they have not addressed any kind of trauma, they will put that weight back on because they don't really feel safe in a smaller body. So I really look at the whole person and create a program around what they need. And then there's videos and there's journaling and there's coaching. And every week we say, okay, do your best and you're going to mess up. And when you come back, and that's another thing too, is when we're dieting, we're not supposed to mess up, right? When you're tracking your food, if you have a bad day, you don't track, right? You just say, I'm going to start again tomorrow. And my program is like, you're going to do your best. And when you mess up, come back to me. And that's where we learn. Because you'll come back and go, I don't even know what happened. I shoved the food in my face so fast, I don't even know. Well, no, let's really figure out because there was something happening, either avoiding emotion or, escaping emotion, people pleasing. What was it? And oftentimes we really do know once we dive into it.
Yeah. I love that approach so much because it kind of removes the shame and the judgment that
Oh,
comes along
yeah.
with making mistakes, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the things that I focus on is, and this is not just with food, but just even if you lash out at your kids or react poorly to your husband or whatever it is, like your behavior is just data.
Mhm.
It's just a starting point for you to ask like what happened and what brought me there, and then it gives you a starting point for what you could do differently next time, as opposed to making yourself feel like shit and down talking yourself and degrading yourself because you were out of character for a little bit. You're human, it's data, it's telling you what you can do next, and we get to move on that way. So
Oh, I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, and the cool thing I think about what separates my program from other programs is, and it sounds like you believe this as well, is when we do this work, especially on our eating, because that's something that other people can't do for us. We're the ones that put something in our mouth. So when we all of a sudden start feeling in control there and understanding our brain and why we do what we do or why we don't do what we said we were going to do, it affects our whole life. All of a sudden, like you said, you yell at your kids and you're like, why did I just yell? What is really going on? Maybe I'm frustrated with them for sure, but maybe it's something else. So what is really going on? And so in understanding how our thoughts really create the feelings in our body, and that's what drives our actions. So the beautiful thing about this work is my clients, they will actually start, deciding to write a book. They will ask for more money from their company. They will either end a relationship in a good way, and a relationship that they know they've been wanting to end for a long time, whether it's a friend or a spouse, or they will decide to start dating for the first time, or they will decide to go to the gym because they've been telling themselves they want to go to the gym. They used to go to the gym and they used to love it. But now they're 60 and they feel like they're too old, but now they start losing weight and they feel more confident. So this work affects every area of our life.
So much.
Yeah.
So much, I agree. Courtney, before we get going, I wanted you to talk to the woman first who says, I really want to lose weight, but I'm not ready to invest in coaching.
Yeah.
What would you tell her? And then to the woman who wants to lose weight and is interested in investing in coaching, how could she find you? So maybe
Yeah.
them.
Such a great question. Well, first of all, the woman who feels like they're not ready to invest, I would say two things. First of all, your podcast and my podcast clearly are amazing. So there's some free resources right there.
Mhm.
But my question is, I would really ask, why are you not wanting to invest? Because our health and the way we feel about ourselves, knowing that it affects everything, is the most, I think, important thing we could ever invest in. So that I would really make sure you like your reason for that. I would also say book a free consult, right? You
Yeah.
can't make a decision if you don't even know all the facts. And you can get, I mean, I've had women come to a consult and just feel like, oh my God, I actually wasn't going to invest, but now I'm going to because this consult was so amazing. I've had some women say, hey, I can't invest. I'm like, let's give a powerful hour to you. Right. I mean, I love making money. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, but the reason I really got into this business, because I had another business before, is because I love helping people. So I would say get a consultation and really start to understand yourself at a deeper level. And so for the woman who is listening and like, this sounds like it really actually might be for me, I would definitely say, yeah, schedule a consultation. Because I think that most women that listen to me, and I'm sure you feel this way too about people that listen to you, is they know after listening, even just to 20 minutes of listening, whether they resonate or not.
Mhm.
Right. They feel it in their body like, oh yeah, this might be for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I love that. And are you taking clients on right now? Or are you?
Yeah, you can find me everywhere at modernbodymodernlife.com. So my podcast is Modern Body Modern Life, and that's on Instagram and Facebook, and that's my website. And yes, I am taking clients. I do private one-on-one coaching, and I also do group coaching. And so at the time that this podcast is going to be released, I'm doing private coaching right now. So yeah, and it's a great place to start with a consult just to see what might be right for you. Some
I,
people are like, I definitely want group. Some people are like, I definitely want private.
Mm. Yeah, and that's a really clear preference. Like some people are more comfortable in that one-on-one setting, and some people recognize like the power of community
Yeah.
when you have a group. I love that.
Yeah.
So, Courtney, we're going to link everything in our show notes, website, booking link, all the things. But you cannot go until you answer the question of the hour. And
Yeah.
that is Minding Mind community. We are all about focusing on what intuitively and instinctually is ours, what makes us feel good, what resonates with our soul and our life, ignoring judgments and rules and guidelines from society and church and everything else, right?
Yeah.
So, what's yours is yours and yours alone. So, how do you feel that minding yours, learning to live life your way, impacts the legacy that you'll leave?
Oh, it's such a great question. Well, first of all, I think it's a journey. I think it's not like you sit down and figure out yourself. It is constantly a journey. I'm still growing every single day doing this work. But I think you and I talked a little bit about our kids. My three children, we have twins that are 22, and then we have a 19-year-old. They're everything to me. And I coach them. I'm very connected to them. And we're empty nesters now, so it's very important for me to be connected to them. And I think when I think about leaving a legacy, I'm not too worried about my name going down in history books. Like I know that's important to some people. That's not important to me. I think the legacy I want to leave to my three boys is like mental wellness, how to understand how to get what they want, whether it's health, whether it's a better relationship, whether it's to become an actor or whatever my kids want. I want them to understand their brain. I want them to understand their emotions, be able to process their emotions at time, which I work with my clients on, or to be able to change their emotions, to be able to say, I'm frustrated. Wait a minute. What is making me frustrated? What thought is making me frustrated? And to be able to go, maybe that is not a thought that's serving me, and to be able to change that emotion. And so to me, that is the ultimate connection, is to be able to feel like you're in control of yourself. And it all starts with our mindset and our thoughts and our emotions.
Mhm.
So
Beautiful.
I hope that answered it.
Yeah, it does. And it totally just speaks to the fact that, again, what we want to feel is control of ourselves. And it really starts
Yeah.
there.
Yes. Yeah.
100. I love that so much. Courtney, thank you so much for blessing us with your expertise, but also just your ability to see that we're all human. We make mistakes. We haven't learned the best ways to care and love for ourselves, and you get to be a guide in that sense. So thank you for sharing with us. And I want to thank everyone else for joining us in this conversation. If this episode resonated with you, remember to comment, rate, and review the podcast. Your feedback always helps me grow. And until next time, I want you to go live your life on your terms, and please mind your business. We will catch you in the next episode.